Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Diane Calvert. I'm Manager of the Government Publications team at the National Library of Australia. Today, I will briefly take you through the background for legal deposit, the Library Deposit Scheme, Pre-Issue Scheme, recent changes to legal deposit, creation of eDeposit ending with National eDeposit uploading publications to the National Library of Australia. Paul Wingett, librarian cataloger, sitting beside me, also with my publications team, will demonstrate how to create a publisher account and deposit electronic publications with the National Library using eDeposit or NED. Before we commence, on behalf of the National Library of Australia, I'd like to acknowledge we are in Ngunnawal and Ngambri country here in Canberra, and pay respect to elders past, present and emerging here and across Australia, and to First Nations people participating in today's webinar. Historically, government departments and agencies deposited publications with national and state and territory libraries via the Australian Government Printing Service, and that was through the legal deposit arrangements the Australian Copyright Act. Since the 1990s, agencies are directed to provide copies to the Library Deposit and Free Issue Scheme for distribution. The National Library Collection holds hard copy government publications and legislation deposited since the early 1900s. The publication became the responsibility of the individual departments and agencies. Tabling for Parliament and distribution is guided by the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet tabling guidelines and periodic circulars. In 2016, legal deposit legislation was extended to electronic publications, enabling libraries to collect digital material, especially important as hard copy publication had decreased, if not ceased, with many agencies over the last 30 years. The Digital Transformation Agency administers the Library Deposit Scheme. Recent changes removed the contracted distribution service for participating libraries as the cost outweighed the benefits. So the departments and agencies have been instructed to distribute directly to 18 participating libraries across Australia. The list for those libraries is on their webpage. The instruction also requires a digital copy to be placed on the agency's website and then deposited with the National Library of Australia. So the National eDeposit link is on that slide. In 2016, the National Library realised the beginnings of a National Digital Archive. Australian publishers, including government at all levels, became agents of change, with NED member libraries providing a national focus on collecting electronic publication and digital deposit. Currently, there are 128 Commonwealth National eDeposit publisher accounts depositing at various intervals. So in June 2019, National eDeposit Service, NED, was formally launched for all Australians publishing electronically to create a permanent solution for preservation, description and access to their digital publications. As you can see, the NED member libraries there, I've put them into their state colours. It's a collaborative service provided by all 9 national, state, territory libraries, delivering the content uploaded to Trove. The National Library currently receives Commonwealth material in both hard and digital formats, however, does prefer to receive the digital version of Commonwealth and parliamentary publications. The Senate Tabling Office is currently depositing all parliamentary papers from 2017 through to 2020. Prior to this, hard copy was published and distributed. The digital format ensures the information is available Australia-wide and will work with the Digital Transformation Office and our Commonwealth colleagues in Canberra and an interstate office to ensure upload of publications is more widely accessible. So the publications that we encourage departments and agencies to upload are not scanned and they're not digitised. They're ongoing publications as annual reports, corporate plans, news titles, individual documents such as reconciliation action plans, diversity action plans, budget papers, budget update statements. We have agencies uploading their monographs in series. So that's a serial which has each issue with its own individual title and content, books and reports. We have draft, interim, final publications published online as public documents, such as the Productivity Commission with their commission reports. We do not accept submissions, press releases, memos and communiques because these are corporate records. So the benefits for uploading digital are clear. Publications are not always available on the web. They can be taken down, hard to discover. A complicated web design, which makes it difficult for searching or even web archiving. Machinery of government changes and decommissioning of websites may create problems along the way for access. So uploading to NED ensures permanent access to preserved files via Trove. Formats for the publications. One can upload, obviously, with reports. We have EPUB, MOBI and PDF format, with PDF being the most common. Serials, it's listed there. Again, PDF, MOBI and EPUB, PDF being majority format. We take maps in PDF, Geo, PDF, TIFF and other formats. Importantly, files must be under 500 megabytes in size, but if we have issues about size or you have multiple publications to upload, we can arrange collaboratively with you to have a bulk upload or an FTP upload. This can be discussed with NED or by communicating via the GovDep inbox. So this will come again later, but different types of publications. You'll see this screen as you go in to look at depositing. Importantly, the serial here includes annual reports. It's annual report season. We'll probably talk about annual reports a bit further along the way. And over here are the monographs, books in series, maps, standalone reports. So the key points that the National Library recommends a department or agency's library or publications team creates the NED account. The account owners can invite a user to upload publications. That's where we have, like, the Bureau of Infrastructure, Transport and Regional Economics has various sub-accounts, for example, the aviation statistics section or the roads people. They have quite a few different groupings. As I said, it's annual report season, so upload to NED and save resources by not printing to send it out to the Library Deposit Scheme list. You have the ability as a publisher to download a CSV file of all your NED deposits. You can track what reports you've put up and what parts or issues of a serial that you've actually uploaded. So we'll just move to Paul now. We're going to do a NED demonstration and we'll move to questions and answers at the end.
Hello all. Today for this part of the webinar, we'll be demonstrating both how to create an account in NED and to make a deposit. We start from the National Deposit landing page because that's where you'll need to come for all your NED transactions. We recommend using Chrome or Firefox for best results. To create our publisher account, we need to press the Create an Account button, and then our form comes up. The publisher name we've chosen is the Australian National Audit Office. The next step is what type of publisher are you? And from the drop-down menu, we are picking Commonwealth Government. Please note that different libraries do support different government agencies, and the National Library is your support for Commonwealth Government publishers. Now we're entering some address details, which are fortunately for pre-filling for us to save time. When it comes to the account details, we like to have your name, a personal connection, we know who you are. When it comes to email address, a generic email is best because people do change sections. You both need to put your email in and confirm it. And a username which is generic is also helpful. We then scroll down to the bottom of the screen and you can see that there are terms and conditions and privacy notice. So Diane, if you click on terms and conditions, we can see NED's terms and conditions. Once you've read and agree with the terms and conditions, you can close the terms and conditions box and we come back to our screen. The privacy notice again shows what we do for the privacy of your deposit. And again, if we close that box, we'll come back to our original screen. We need to confirm that we have read and agreed to these. And then we also have to declare that we are not robots. So sometimes a little picture box comes up with associated task. Fortunately, this has bypassed today, but be prepared. Now we can complete our registration. And a box comes up giving us, telling us that we've received an email. If you don't see this in a reasonable time frame, then have a look in your spam filter. It may have ended up there. We're not going to complete this part of the registration in this webinar. We'll close and come back to the landing page from where we can make our deposit. To make our deposit though, we need to go to publisher login. That make an eDeposit button is for one-off deposits, which we don't encourage. The publisher login enables you to have a history of all the publications that you've deposited, which is really useful. So we can now press the login button and make an eDeposit. And our deposit types are monograph and serial. And as Diane said before, under the serial, we've got the different serial types. Annual reports, sometimes people get confused and think they're monographs, but they do come out once every year. The title doesn't change and they've got their own numbering, which is the date of publication. So they are a serial. We're going to deposit a mono or a book in series. So we click on the monograph radio button and then the book or books in series radio button. We can then see a box has opened up where we can upload our file. As Diane said, EPUB, PDF or MOBI are the files that this one will take. So once that file's been uploaded, we can add a cover image, and the cover image can be a JPEG or a TIFF, and this can be added. It can also be dragged and dropped if you've got the file sitting on your desktop. We'll now move on to the e-publication details. But a word beforehand is that the files do need to be free from technical protection measures. TPM is used by some publishers to help with digital rights management. However, NED will reject these files if they're embedded with TPM, as this prevents your work from being stored and preserved. Now for the e-publication details, we add our title, our subtitle, and our series title. You'll note that we've added numbering after the series title. This is so that it'll appear in a useful spot in the catalogue record, because that information's vital. We now come down to the owner type. This can either be a person or an organisation, and the owner role, which comes from a drop-down menu, changes depending on the owner type. Now, most of these are self-explanatory, but I'll explain commissioning body. Commissioning body is the agent who commissions the work. So if Deloitte Access was commissioned by the Department of Finance to produce a work, the Department of Finance would be that commissioning body. But today we're going to choose author. And then you'll see that a little yellow trophy pops up, and that's because this information is optional but very useful. Our organisation name goes in next. Now we can add other authors or owners in the same way as before, but we're going to skip this by hitting the minus sign. Now to enter our date information. And this publication doesn't have an edition statement, but we do have a URL. And now it's time to add our International Standard Bibliographic Number, our book number, and then our ISSN or International Standard Serial Number. Those information boxes, or the little eyes that Diane's highlighting, can be clicked for more information, which explains what these numbers are. We don't have an ISMN, so we say no, otherwise the form won't submit. That notes section at the bottom allows us to put any other useful information, such as a summary or some subject headings. When you're submitting, if you were uploading a serial, you'd get this box again. And so if your department had changed names recently, to give us a date and a previous department name would be useful information for us as cataloguers. Now we can move on to the next step, the access conditions. You'll see that this is the third step along, so we're halfway through our deposit. The access conditions are how widely available on the internet your publication is going to be. But first we've got to confirm that we have the authority to do this. We then have to choose whether or not our publication is commercially available. And in this case, it's not. So the access conditions vary from most widely available openly on the internet, which we're going to pick. The reason we're choosing this is because most government departments who have a website have their information on that website openly available on the internet, and this option offers this same level of access. And you can see the most restrictive option is tied down to only accessible within the National Library and applicable state and territory libraries. So we next go to our reuse conditions. These are the Creative Commons. So we are interested in Creative Commons apply. You'll know if Creative Commons apply, they're generally listed in the publication that you're going to be depositing. You can see a table with the different Creative Commons options. I think, yes, there are 6 of them, and a table ticks those which apply to that license and across for anything that doesn't. There is also more information available on Creative Commons at the hypertext link just above the table. We're going to pick the top agreement and then move on to our publisher details. This provides a summary of our publisher name. If a person has moved on and a name changes, then we could update our details and a little box will open. Anything in grey can't be changed, but anything in white boxes can be updated. We have nothing to update at this point, so we'll cancel and move on to review and submit. This shows us a summary of the publication that we've deposited. We can navigate to correct anything using the hypertext links on the side or the green buttons at the top. So Diane, if you were to go to number 2 or the e-publication details and click on that, we go back to that form. And if that's the only thing you need to change, we might add, well, we'll add a full stop. Pressing the blue buttons would take you through the pages one by one, but pressing on 6, the last button, takes us back to our review and submit page. We can then scroll down to the bottom of this page and submit our eDeposit. We then get acknowledgement that we've been successful. You get a NED number and that has gone to an email. So, mission complete. We can now see 2 options on the bottom. We can make another eDeposit, or we could view our current eDeposits. This shows that we've had fun creating the same thing over and over again. But in your case, it will show a useful publication history. Now, we can also get to the information about NED using the links at the top. We've got About, and you'll see on the side that there are some blue links, and you'll see that the privacy notice and the terms and conditions that we viewed earlier can be clicked on. But we'll just close this box to go back to our main screen, and the legal deposit obligations are there in front of us, state by state. So you can click on your state and see what specific obligations apply to you. Close this box and move on to using NED. You'll see some information about getting started making your deposit, which is what we've just done, and other useful information. So now if we close this box and move back to our screen, if we scroll down to the bottom of the screen, there's a NED icon. If we click on that, that would take us back to our our page that we entered as a publisher. And to sign off, we'd go to the blue button at the top, click on that, and you can see a logout option. We won't log out at this stage, but we'll move over to another screen. The National Library prefers digital overprint. We do understand that it's annual report season, so we encourage you to upload your annual reports when they're published. Each deposit in NED will be available through Trove. Now, if we click on, we're going to click on a link to an annual report in Trove. We can see we can see a cover image on that annual report. Now, these don't always appear. That's the cover image that you would upload. If we go to browse the collection box, you can see 4 annual reports have been deposited, 2 with cover images and 2 without. If we click on the blue link under the annual report or the picture, it opens the full text of the item. So your annual report would look similar to this. The next thing we've got to show you is a mono in series. It's got its specific title, Deterrence in Cyberspace. And if we scroll down to the bottom of the screen, we'll see the word policy brief. So that's the series title. And the report numbering is also there. This webinar was designed as a brief introduction to NED, demonstrating how to deposit a mono in series. Based on feedback, we may provide further sessions like this in the future. You'll see on the screen below that there's a link to NED support. This is a great spot to go if you've got a technical or a more detailed question about NED. And the government publications link below that is where you can ask us for some general support about how to deposit, what to deposit.
Okay, we might throw to questions. Right, okay, we've found them. With regards to the annual report, at least for Commonwealth Government, aren't they already captured in the transparency portal? Good question. That's come from an anonymous attendee. Well, changes of machinery of government, transparency portal is something that exists now. NED will exist continuously, and the digital items are preserved in the archive, and they're accessible into the future, well into the future for researchers and for the history of the organisation. So I hope that kind of answers that question. Tabling requirements, another question. Will state that we have to print and distribute LDS copies. Your slide said we don't, which is correct. We are going to be working with the Digital Transformation Agency to have their website page updated and get in touch with the Prime Minister and Cabinet Tabling Office to modify that information. And obviously, if a PDF exists across Australia through Trove, the universities are going to easily hook into Trove rather than go to their shelf and look for a printed PDF, which is effectively what's distributed. It's a resource-saving mechanism as well. I hope that's a good question answer. How long does it take until a title depositing is available in Trove or in the National Library Catalogue? Well, with a new serial title or a new annual report, we would receive the file from the archive. We would then catalogue it. And once it's catalogued, it would then go out via our internal catalogue system and out onto Trove. So that would be overnight. generally, and with a mono in series or a book report, there's a record, an interim record made up within a couple of hours. It'll be out on Trove. Okay, if you upload a document to NED, is it possible to change any of the details? Okay, well, if it's a title error, we would have to get our IT people to change that. For instance, if you want to put an annual report in, please don't put the year in the title. That comes into a notes field or a parts field. So as people want to go and add another issue the next year and they see that it's got the old year on it, we can't do much about that personally. Great. Well, thank you, everybody. We will leave it at that.
Thank you.